welcome back to my channel. I love books, I read books, I talk about books. Let's do that. Today, I thought that I would do a little, if you liked this, then read this. Some of these are like, here's a popular book that a lot of people talk about. Here's maybe a lesser known one that I think has the same vibes. Some of them have similar content. I just picked like 5 because I didn't want to talk for too long. Actually, a lot of these are fantasy. I'll start with, since it's fall, a good cozy read. So the book that I think most people probably have heard of or read or tried is Legends and Lattes. This is a really good cozy fantasy book. You know, you have an orc. She's an orc, right? And she's decided she wants to retire, so she settles down to open her own coffee shop. And really the book follows that journey and then the relationships that she builds during that time. And I think if you like this book or like this style of book, then I would recommend reading The House Witch, which I'm never going to stop talking about. In this one, you're following Finn, who is a house witch, and all of his magic has to do with cooking or cleaning or stuff like that. And he gets hired by the king in this kingdom and shenanigans ensue. I really love the characters in this one. I feel like there's a little bit more at stake in this book than there is in Legends and Lattes, like a little more plot going on, but it's still very much about the characters, and it has very much a cozy feel where I feel like you get invested in the world really easily. So highly recommend this one. Next is something I think both of these are popular, but I think I would recommend one over the other. So most people have heard of Fourth Wing. You've probably read Fourth Wing, or you know it's not for you. And this often gets marketed as like, if you really loved A Court of Thorns and Roses or anything by Sarah J. Maas, then to read this series. I think a lot of people recommend this for that because they're both romanticies, right? The plot is more about the romance than it is really about the fantasy elements. And I think that that's fine. Like, I don't have anything against romantasy. I read it too. But what I want to talk about is the dragons. So I think the plot and the characters in this were all over the place. It's not my favorite series personally. But I really did like the way the dragons were for the most part. A lot of them were very cutthroat. And I feel like some fantasy books, when they talk about dragons, they often make them like puppy dogs, you know, they're like goofy, silly, and they're your best friend. But these actually felt like vicious dragons, which I really did appreciate. So I feel like if you enjoyed this or you like that dragon aspect, I would really recommend picking up The Priory of the Orange Tree. Now, this is a little intimidating because it's really long. It's like 800 something pages long. But the world building is so good, and I really like the dragons in this, and I love the characters. You're following 3 points of view, and there's only one of them that I don't really care for, but I understand why it's there. I don't think you're really supposed to like that character. This also has a little bit of a sapphic romance in it, which I really appreciate, but I think it's well done without being overdone within the story. The plot is definitely a bigger selling point for this one. So like, yes, it is long. If that feels too intimidating, I get that. The font's not really tiny though, so it's not like you're reading for 10 years just to finish a page. And I do think if you're somebody who likes reading a book for a long time and really getting immersed in the world, and I like to do that during the winter. I feel like this is one of those really good ones that you could read for a little while, but you feel very engrossed in it. I don't actually have the physical copy of the book that I think is very popular, and that's because I read it on Kindle, but I'll put it right here. It's One Dark Window. I feel like it blew up last year or so, and it's very vibey. You're following this character who has to collect like these magic cards that give you some powers, but she's hiding a secret like voice that talks to her in her head that she collected from touching a card when she was younger. And the king kills anybody that has magic, and there's definitely some romance there. And I ended up liking that series. One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns is the second one. It's a duology. I liked it a lot more than I expected because the vibes, the world building was really fun. It was very atmospheric and moody, and the romance was pretty integral to the plot, but it didn't overshadow the plot or the magic system. And I just really enjoyed it. And I feel like a lot of people also really enjoyed it. And I think if you're looking for something similar to that type of moody vibe, atmospheric like thing that One Dark Window has, I highly recommend The Weaver Bride. I am so excited about this. I got an arc of this book over the summer, and I really loved this book. It just came out Wednesday, whatever the 30th was. Wednesday it came out. And first of all, look at the Barnes & Noble edition, right? Sprayed edges. It's so pretty. I love this cover. But the book is just so like atmospheric. I really loved it. It felt kind of dark and creepy and mysterious. So you're following this girl. She is a silk witch. And what this means is that when they turn a certain age, their hair can be spun into silk, but only by the male counterpart weavers. And so a silk witch has to get married by a certain age so that the husband can use and sell her hair. If she doesn't get married, then she gets sent to the cloisters, where essentially she has to do like her own weaving labor, I guess, until she dies. People who go to the cloisters never come back. So she is dyeing her hair, trying to hide from everybody and really like blend in and not let people know she's a silk witch so that she can avoid getting sent to the cloisters, because her prospects of getting married are not very good. And she suddenly meets this guy who is wealthy, and she's not. And he tells her that the like wealthiest weaver family in like their country or kingdom, his son needs to get married. So they're doing like a competition, and they held one the year before, and a girl died, this guy's sister. And he wants her to take her place this year in the competition and try to figure out how his sister died, who killed her. And so because she doesn't really have anything else going for her, she does take the offer, because at the very least she might be able to marry into this really like powerful family. And they get there, and it is weird and creepy, and all this stuff is going on. And I just really liked it. There is a romance in it, but it is not very cookie cutter in my opinion. And that kept me really intrigued. I really enjoyed the writing style. Now this is YA, and I think One Dark Window was billed as adult fantasy, but I feel like this really stands on its own. Like I really enjoyed it. I hope she writes more books, because the way it ends is satisfactory in the sense that it's tied up, but also there's enough there that like, God, I really hope that she continues in this world, because I want to know what's going to happen with the characters. I really want to know what's going to happen with the things that we find out in this book. So at the very least, I hope it's a duology. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I just so much think if you liked that duology that you should try this book, because it's definitely worth the read. Next up, I don't know why that I feel like these two get paired to, like in my mind they're paired together, and I've made this recommendation before on Bookstagram, but I couldn't make this video without mentioning it again. So I feel like the more commonly known one is Ninth House by Leah Bardugo. She wrote the Six of Crows series, the Shadow and Bone series, the Familiar. So I feel like a lot of people are pretty like her work is well known. In Ninth House, you're following Alex. She is on a university campus. She can see ghosts that tend to interfere with some of the magical undergoings that are happening at the university. And so she gets hired to kind of fulfill this role that she's really one of the only people who can fulfill it well, because of her abilities compared to others. And so you're kind of learning about her backstory and how she's going to help out. There's like a murder, so there's a mystery going on. It's a good time. I really like this series, both of them. And I think there's supposed to be more. I'm not actually sure. The second one was left in such a way that I think that there should be a third one. But this is a really good duology so far. But I think if you like that one and you haven't heard of or given Legendborn a chance, oh my God, please do. Legendborn is so good. It's also set on a university. There's also a girl who, in this case, she can see these like demon ghost things like that keep attacking people, and other people can't see them. So she starts trying to figure out why she can see them. There's some secret society stuff. There's a connection to King Arthur's court, and the world building and the depth of the characters are just unmatched in my opinion. My jaw was on the floor when I finished this book for the first time. And I think that maybe it's something about the university setting and being able to see stuff in a way that other people within those secret societies can't, that makes me get similar vibes from these books. I would say that the themes and the depth is a little different between the two, but I definitely think if you liked one, you probably would enjoy the other, at the very least for the vibes. But this is my favorite out of the two, but I do love both of them. So I think they kind of could go back and forth. If you enjoyed one, you probably would enjoy the other. The last one is a little bit more serious, I guess. It's only non-fantasy recommendations here. So Percival Everett wrote James, which just came out last year. I feel like that's a very well-known work of his because everybody's raved about it. But The Trees also came out fairly recently. I think it was like 2021. Yeah, when it came out. And this one is set in the South, and a white man gets murdered, and they find the murdered white man, and there's a dead black man in the same room, but the black man has been dead for a long time. And they're not really sure what happened, so they take both bodies back to the morgue, and the black man's body just disappears from a locked room, and they don't understand how it got out. And so more murders start happening, and you're following just kind of all the people in this small town in Mississippi and how they're reacting and why the murders are happening. You're following these two investigators from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, who are black, and they're going to this town that is predominantly white. There's a lot of racism, and this was really good. I am from the South. I grew up in the South. And so much of the way he portrays the people and the interactions and the way that they talk and handle things is so realistic. It felt like many things I have like experienced or witnessed in my life. And I think that he gets his point across really well, but also like, it's a little tongue-in-cheek at times. Like, it's almost got some humor to it. It's not funny, but it's like his handling of it brings a different tone to what he's trying to say. And I think that makes the story really palatable is not the word I'm looking for. It is easier to digest the hard truth and the hard message that he is giving the reader because of the way he writes about it. And I just really appreciate that, because I think that so many people will set their stories in the South and Mississippi and they just miss the mark. You know, they focus on the bayou and the slow moving life and the slow talking and the food and stuff like that. And they miss the cultural aspects of the South of, southern part of the United States. And I think that his writing just really hits the nail on the head. And I don't know if this is quite as popular as James is, but I think that if you like James, definitely read this. And if you've read this, then I do have a recommendation. It's called The Smell of Burning Crosses. It's by Ira Harkey. He is a white man who wrote this, but he lived in Mississippi during a lot of like the civil rights movement, and he worked at a newspaper. And so it's just his story of what that was like and the threats that he got for standing up for civil rights and kind of the pressures that were put on him. And I think it's an interesting pairing because Percival Everett is a black man. And so I think that seeing his perspective is really important. And his voice is very important in this conversation. Like, I really think that is worth reading. I also feel like seeing a firsthand account of some of the same like things that he talks in a fictional book, but in here you're seeing it in nonfiction. And I think that this is done in a way that doesn't feel like you're reading a history book. It's not just facts. Like it is a memoir. And so you're getting to see some of those injustices not in a nonfiction way, which is really important. And I'm not saying this is the end all be all book on the topic. Obviously there's lots of really good, like well-written ones, but just for the setting and the content that they cover, I feel like if you liked trees and you want to see a firsthand account of some of the similar themes, this is a good book for that. While I read this several years ago, and while I was reading Trees, I kept thinking about a lot of things that he talked about in this book as well. Even though this is like talking about quite a long time ago, Trees is actually set now, but you can kind of see some parallels between what has changed and what hasn't. And so I just would recommend one or the other if you are interested in that topic, or if you've read one, obviously read the other. Thank you so much for watching. That's all I have for you today. Let me know if you've read any of these in the comments, if you have any recommendations that are similar to any of these books, because I like all of these. These are all, for the most part, like favorites of mine, and so I would love to read more like them. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time.